Hi viewers. So in this video, let's look at how to compile and run a C++ program in a Linux environment. So I'm currently running Fedora as my Linux environment. As always, your first task in running a C++ program in a particular environment should be to install a compiler. So the easiest way to install the C++ compiler is to use the command line. Uh, So I have brought up the command line uh, terminal. So there are many different compilers available for Linux, but by far the most popular uh, compiler for the Linux environment, including in Fedora and other popular distributions such as Ubuntu, CentOS, and so forth, are the compilers called the GNU compiler collection, GCC, in which you have a C compiler, a C++ compiler, and compilers for many other languages as well. So it's good to install the C++ compiler of GNU as well under the GCC collection. It's good to have multiple compilers installed anyway, and then also the other compiler that you should have in your tool set is the Clang compiler tool chain as well. So to get that thing installed, you can use the command line, and in Fedora you can use the package installer uh, called the DNF, and in Ubuntu you can use apt-get or apt. So I'll expect you to follow whatever the distributions package manager to install these compilers, but I'll just show you how you can do that in Fedora. In Fedora, obviously, you can either use uh, something like sudo dnf install gcc c++. If you do this thing, you will get the C++ compiler installed. But when you're really serious about doing development in uh, Linux environment, you will obviously need some other tools like CMake, and there is a tool called GDB GNU Debugger, which is not installed when you just say GCC C++, right? So you might want to maybe install all of these together, and when you press enter, it's going to ask for your password and so forth. And then once you provide the password, it will go on and install it. So I have already got that installed, and there is also another way to install it. It's not just these tools, but uh, there are other very important tools that you it's which will be helpful in having in your tool set. And to make those things possible in distributions like Fedora, they have this concept called group install. For example, if you do this thing, sudo dnf group install development tools and development libraries, when you provide this thing, it will install a host uh, of tools, including a C compiler, C++ compiler, and some other build tools as well. But as I learned, this even this particular group install does not cover CMake and GDB. And if you don't know what CMake and GDB are, don't worry, and you can just do that installation separately, and we can see what that can be used in another video later on. So I have got all of these installed, and also I was talking about uh, Clang compiler. So whatever you have done up to now with these two commands will install the GNU compiler collection and related tools. But you can also have a Clang compiler installed in this way as well. And obviously Clang also, if you just go into the LLVM website, and you can download a whole bunch of other tools in the Clang compiler tool set as well. And if you're interested in researching and investigating things around Clang, I recommend you do that as well. But for us to start off, this should suffice. Right. So Assuming that you have got all of this installed, and one way to develop a C++ program or an application is to use this popular VS Code, Visual Studio Code development environment. There are other ways to do that as well, but I'll start off with VS Code in this video. And to start developing an application, let me open a file and create a new file, and we can call this our Hello World program. For example, you might let's say let's get into documents, and then let's say it's fundamental training, and I will create a folder called Hello World, and inside that let me create a file named hello world dot cpp, which stands for C++. You can use CPP, or sometimes CC also works, or sometimes CXX also works. Not sometimes, most probably it will work. So, but I'm used to uh, refer to my C++ files as CPP, but it's a preference that you can provide. So you have to just give that here, hello world dot cpp. Okay, so now you have this thing, and it's gonna ask uh, for you to type in. Now you also see various other things like here, to ask GitHub Copilot to do something. That's because I have got Copilot subscription, so it's all asking for that. And also in your extension section, you can install various extensions related to C++ as well. If you just look C++ here, you can install these IntelliSense and other plugins available in VS Code. So I have got all of those installed, so I recommend you to do that as well. So let's go ahead and write our first C++ code. So I'm not going to explain what I'm doing right here. So if you just looked at what was happening there, it was basically helping me to write the C++ code. The GitHub was doing that thing, but I'm not going to explain to you. So let's open up the terminal here. So I'm going to open up the terminal, and then also I want to navigate into where this file is located. So let's go into that. And if you look at this one, you see it is available there. So if I just use G++, so this is the tool that would have got installed when you had that first command running, or the group install command. This should be available. If you just go into G++ version, you should be able to see this one. And currently I'm having the version 14. So if you have this thing, that means it is installed. And you can also check for C compiler version, which should be the same as well. Right, so now we have this file. So to compile, you can just use this with this. And if everything goes on well, you should be able to see a new file called a.out. And if you run that thing, the way that you run it in Linux is /, and your executable, you see the hello world getting printed, which is what we have in this simple hello world program. Right, so that is with G++. So let me remove this file, and there's one simple way to get a proper name into your output executable. You can say my output object should be hello world, and then give your file. Then instead of a.out, you will get whatever specified name that you gave for that -o argument, and in that case you can run it in this way. Right, let me remove that as well, and before winding up, let me compile the same program in uh, clang clang plus plus as well, same way. As you can see, it also outputs a.out, and similar way you can say clang plus plus. This way you can also get the same output. And that's it. And it's pretty simple. And this is just the beginning of how to develop a C++ application in uh, Linux environment. Most probably this is what you're going to be doing. And obviously, when it comes to large scale applications, you will have multiple files, and you might probably be using other build tools such as CMake or Make, and those kind of things we will look at in a later video, how to do that. And initially our target is to learn the language, and which we'll be doing in due course. And so there are other ways also. For example, this is just one IDE, and you can use other popular IDEs to develop your C++ application as well. And we'll look at one of those in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye.